Hey there, Cinemaster fans. Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The movie Survival Family is about the end of the world. There are no communications, no transportation, and no electronics working at all. People, who had become completely used to a comfortable life with everything available around them, suddenly find themselves in a very primitive reality. They go back to the old way of life, relying on fishing for food. Even water becomes a luxury for them, and if they find a large amount, it's a great joy. Everyone, in order to survive, has to learn how to live in the new reality they're in. We get to know the Suzuki family, who are city dwellers that used to live a perfectly ideal life with no mistake. They depended on modern devices for every detail of their day. Their father, Yoshiki, tried to do everything he could to provide them with a decent life, and he held a very high position at an office in the heart of Tokyo. Even Mitsu, the mother, spent the whole day at home, trying to take care of her children as much as she could, making them healthy food and maintaining their ideal lifestyle. Their children, Yui and Kenji, spent all their time on their phones, completely disconnected from reality, as they were teenagers. This was the case for almost everyone around them, because with all the progress in technology, people became completely dependent on social media, electricity, transportation, and anything that could provide them with comfort. No one could imagine that one day they would have to give all that up and return to the primitive life humans used to live. All this changes suddenly, when they all wake up one day and find that the electricity is out across the whole country. At first we see Yoshiki wake up startled, and when he sees that the sun has already risen, he realizes he's very late for work as usual. He's surprised that the alarm didn't ring, and when he looks at the clock, he sees that all the clocks in the house stopped at 3. Even though he's puzzled, he tries to get ready quickly to go to work. Mitsu gets very upset because all the food in the fridge has spoiled since it also stopped working. She tells him that the power went out for no reason, and that this has never happened to them before. As soon as their daughter hears this, she runs to her phone and finds it's also off and won't turn on at all. She's shocked because she's very attached to her phone. Her brother tries to check the fuse box, hoping there's a problem he can fix quickly, but finds everything is off for no apparent reason. Even the landlines aren't working. They all start to feel that something is seriously wrong around them, and they have to get ready and leave so everyone can go to work or school. As soon as they leave the apartment, they get even more upset when they find that the elevator is also broken, so they have to take the stairs. It's the first time this has happened since they moved in, and what's even stranger is that when they get to the street, there's no transportation at all, and no one is driving a car. Everyone is walking, except for a few people on their bikes. Yoshiki tries to understand what's happening around him. When he gets to the metro, he finds it's also out of service, and people are crowded together because of the congestion. On his way to school, Kenji tries to listen to some music on his iPad but finds it's not working either. He starts to feel anxious because of the noise in the crowd, since he's used to listening to music on the way to distract himself from everything around him. The taxis are parked on the side, and no one can drive their cars at all. The whole road is at a standstill. Mitsu goes out to talk to the neighbors and finds out that they're all heading to the supermarket to buy as much food as possible to store, because the situation is worrying and something is clearly wrong but no one knows what it is. She decides to do the same, but realizes she forgot all the money upstairs, so she has to go back to the apartment to get it. The biggest problem is that she has to climb the stairs up to the 10th floor again to reach her apartment. Finally, Yoshiki arrives at his office and finds that all his colleagues are late like him and that what happened is affecting the whole city, not just him. Since the electric door isn't working, they have to break the glass door to get into the company building. When they get to their offices, they realize all their efforts are wasted because none of the electrical devices are working, and no one can do their job or even follow up their work. Then the son and daughter arrive at their school, which is in chaos, and even the teachers haven't arrived. All classes are cancelled, and the students are, of course, very happy about this. When Mitsu goes to the supermarket, she finds that most things have been taken and there's hardly any food left. She realizes people, out of fear, have hoarded huge amounts of food, and no one can control the situation. She buys whatever canned food she can find, since that's all that's left, and gets some sweets in case they come in handy later. She finds out payment must be in cash because all the payment machines are down. At the same time, the company manager tells the employees they're closing the company until these problems are solved, and then they can return to work. So everyone has to go back home in the end. On his way home, Yoshiki decides to buy a bicycle, thinking it might be useful later, and is shocked to find its price has tripled because people are taking advantage of the situation. Since cars aren't working and demand for bikes has increased, the prices have gone up. At night, the Suzuki family gathers together again at home for dinner. Everyone is scared and terrified on the inside, struggling to cope with this strange situation they've never experienced before. Even going to the bathroom is difficult. Since the water is cut off, they try to adapt as much as they can. The daughter goes to the bathroom and decides to entertain herself by reading an old magazine they had lying around. By accident, the candle catches her hair on fire, but she manages to save herself at the last moment. At the same time, Yoshiki and Mitsu go out to the balcony to pass the time and watch the sky together. For the first time, they feel they're enjoying the view of the sky and stars, something they haven't looked at for many years. Even their children look up at the sky as if it's something strange they're noticing for the first time. Days pass, and by the third day of the disaster, the house is a mess. There aren't any clean dishes left, and all their clothes are dirty. Their life is completely primitive. Mitsu tries to solve the problems as much as she can, taking a few pieces of clothing and trying washes them by hand, so they can find something to wear afterwards. And of course all the school's offices and companies are closed because of the situation in the countries, and no one knows how to keep up with their work. Yoshiki goes back to his office to collect some things, and his boss advises him to be careful because the situation is not good, and that he must find a place outside the country to escape to. Yoshiki actually thinks about his boss's words and decides to withdraw some money from the nearest bank because he will definitely need it later. There is a huge chaos in front of the bank, and everyone wants to withdraw their money, and everyone is afraid for their lives and tries to protect themselves in every way. In the middle of all this, Yoshiki's documents fall to the ground and he tries to collect them as much as he can, but the situation is very difficult and people keep stepping on him, and no one cares at all about what happened to him. At the same time, his son tries to check on the girl he loves, since she has been absent from school for a long time and he knows nothing about her. He has to go to a part a bit far from the city without telling any of his family, and he is shocked when he arrives and sees her standing with a guy who obviously loves her and even introduces him to her family. He finds out then that she had been playing him all along just to help her with her studies because he is much smarter than her. He gets even more upset when he learns that she is leaving with her family to another country without even telling him. Mitsu goes with some neighbors to get water from the big tank, and she gets very upset when the employee comes out and tells them that the water tank is closed for the day because there is no water left at all. He confirms to them that there will not be any more water put in it again and that everyone has to rely on themselves. They remain in this situation until the 7th day. We see Tokyo completely empty, literally like a horror movie, and almost all services in the country have stopped, and even the food is gone from the stores. Of course, there is no water anymore. The people of the country are divided into two groups. One went to the camps and the other stayed in their homes as they were. Over time, people start gathering their things and leaving. The population decreases more and more. The situation gets worse, and nothing improves, nor does anyone try to help them. All the neighbors break down when they see their elderly neighbor die of hunger right in front of their eyes. The Suzuki family thinks at that moment that they should really leave the country like everyone else. Yoshiki gathers them and tells them they have to collect their things and go live in the countryside with their grandfather. The only problem they face is that the town where he lives is very far away, and the journey will take weeks or even a month. Since there is no other solution, they gather everything they can. Everyone brings out the money they had saved, and they are happy that Mitsu has a large sum of money she had put aside for emergencies. They prepare, take their bags, and leave their house at dawn. They pass by several vendors, and each time the price increases more and more. In the end, they give in to reality, and stop at a shop, agreeing with the owner to buy a whole box at a somewhat reasonable price. After a while they sit in a place to rest and eat, so they can continue their journey. Kenji decides to take a walk and is disgusted when he sees a fisherman cleaning the fish he caught because they are not used to all that mess. Even the girl, because of how spoiled she is, refuses to use the old bathroom in the place and is very grossed out by it, screaming all the time. It's clear that their life will be very difficult because they were so used to technology. After that, they continue on their way, trying to reach their grandfather's house as quickly as possible, taking the shortest route. They arrive at the airport, and because of their naivety, they think the planes are working as usual, but they find the airport closed. The guards prevent them from entering by force, and there is huge chaos at the airport. Since they still don't know what to do after what happened, they decide to sleep in a hotel until morning. They are shocked by the prices of the cheapest hotel around, as it has become about 5 times more expensive. When they rest in the room, they start talking about what will happen next. Their daughter thinks the idea of going to their grandfather's house by bike is crazy and impossible, and she begs them to go back home instead of all this nonsense. But her father yells at her and insists on his opinion that they will reach their grandfather's house no matter, seeing it as their only chance of survival after everything that happened in the city. The next morning, the girl and boy go to the nearest shop to get some food for the road, and Kenji accidentally finds a map of the whole area, and decides to take it with him because it will definitely help them on the way. At the same time, Yoshiki decides to buy another bicycle to make the journey easier and faster. The shopkeeper refuses to take money and uses a barter system, exchanging the bicycle for some food and water. The shopkeeper's wife refuses to take an expensive watch from someone in exchange for some rice because she sees that now, a watch has no value, nor does money. In the end, Yoshiki and Mitsu manage to buy the bicycle with great difficulty and continue on their way with their children. Because they are following the map, they find themselves at a dead end and no one knows where they are. They have to follow the signs in the street, which is the first time they've ever done that, until they reach a very crowded road full of people. They rest on the side and try to think carefully about every step since the situation is very difficult for everyone. They act very selfishly with anyone around them, refusing to give anyone any food or water. At night, one of the people is forced to steal a bottle of water from them because he is very thirsty. Kenji sees him and insists on following him, holding a piece of iron in his hand, and decides to kill him just to get the bottle of water back. He is shocked and changes his mind when he sees that the man stole the water just to give it to his wife and newborn baby. The next morning, they all arrive at a very long and dark tunnel where they meet some elderly women sitting on the side. The women offer to guide them through the tunnel since they know the way very well in exchange for some food and water, but the family refuses, seeing it as a waste of their supplies and thinking they don't really need a guide. They insist on going through the tunnel alone but quickly change their minds when they walk a little and find a dead animal on the ground, which scares them and makes them realize how difficult the situation is. They go back and agree with one of the elderly women to guide them. They remain in this situation until the 16th day. They continue on their way, stopping every now and then to rest beside the road before moving on again. With each passing period, they get more used to the primitive lifestyle than they were before, forgetting all the means of technology they were once accustomed to. Mitsu washes their clothes in the river, and her children learn how to eat food from old, dirty dishes. They completely forget the way of life they used to live, and the luxury they once enjoyed all the time. Yoshiki decides to drink water directly from the river without even checking if it's clean or not. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize that this is a huge mistake. After a while on the road, the weather suddenly turns, and it starts raining very heavily. They are forced to gather their bikes and hide in a safe place. At that moment, Yoshiki begins to feel terrible pain in his stomach, not knowing the cause. He has to leave his wife and kids to go to the bathroom. After things calm down, they become very upset because they find their bikes ruined and most of their belongings destroyed and damaged. The situation literally gets worse and worse. Because of the contaminated water Yoshiki drank, he becomes even sicker, collapses to the ground, and loses consciousness. His children run to the shops looking for supplies to fix their bikes and buy some canned food to eat so they can continue their journey. When they open the food, they find it spoiled, refuse to eat it, and throw it away again. Yushi throws away his mobile phone since it's now completely useless, even though it used to be the closest thing to him in the world. He uses the phone cover to fix the bike since it no longer has any use. On the 22nd day, all the food they have is almost gone, and they are forced to eat cat food because things have become so difficult to the point that they even get used to it afterward and have no problem eating animal food. With time, they meet another family and become very jealous of them because they seem stable and are coping with the situation much better, with much more experience. Yoshiki feels very embarrassed in front of them because their father is able to take responsibility, unlike him, since he has no background in primitive life, doesn't know how to hunt, get food, or do anything for his children. Out of embarrassment, he distances himself from them and refuses to interact until the man suggests they travel together on the same path. When they find out their paths are different, they become friends, get to know each other more, and grow very fond of each other. Just before they part ways, they suddenly learn the bitter truth. What's happening in their country and city isn't limited to just here, it's happening all over the world. This means there's no way to survive. We reach day 43 together. Their daughter begins to break down completely and loses control, screaming that she can't bear the situation anymore. In the middle of the conversation, she blames her father for everything they're going through, keeps criticizing him, and tells him he ruined their life. After a while, they discover a very large aquarium and see people fishing all kinds of fish from it to eat. They see people cooking in the street and distributing food to others. The whole family stands in line, hoping to find something to eat. Unfortunately, the food runs out just as it's their turn. Out of desperation, Yoshiki begs the cook to at least feed his children, saying he doesn't want anything for himself, just to save his kids from hunger. He collapses on the ground and cries from sheer despair, but all his efforts are in vain. They remain in this state until day 67, with no food or water, not knowing what to do. With each passing period, they become angrier than before, because they're always hungry and can't stand each other. So weak, they decide to eat insects and grass around them. By chance, Yoshiki spots a wild boar very close by and tries every way to hunt it, as it would be a huge meal for them. He gets into a fierce battle with the boar until he finally catches it, but none of them know how to slaughter it. They try to do it any way they can so they can eat. A man named Tanaka happens to pass by, feels sorry for them, and decides to help them slaughter the boar. He agrees to help them, and give them food and water in exchange for taking the whole boar and giving them just a portion. Afterward, they eat ravenously, and none of them can hold back tears of joy that they're finally eating like other people. Tanaka forces them to help him slaughter the boar so they can learn more and makes them stay with him for a whole week at his house to help him and rest at the same time. Each of them is overjoyed to use a bathroom with running water, eat good food, and finally sleep in a decent place after all that exhaustion. That night, Mitsu apologizes to her husband for all the anger she's shown him, saying she didn't mean it, and that she loves him. Since Tanaka is very old, he finds them very useful and they help him fend off animals. Together, they manage to hunt more than 20 boars and are delighted with the large bounty they've gathered. Tanaka is so happy with them that he offers for them to stay with him forever, but Yoshiki refuses, explaining that they must reach their grandfather's house and live with him. When they insist, Tanaka gives them a large amount of food to last them the journey and helps them prepare before they set off again. When they reach the bridge, they find it has collapsed. Since there's no other solution, they decide not to give up and work hard together to build something from tree branches to cross the river safely. Yoshiki takes his wife and daughter across to the other side first, then returns with his son to get the bike and supply. Suddenly it starts raining on them in a strange way, and Yoshiki and his son begin to drown. He urges his son to take the bike and escape quickly before everything is lost. Unfortunately, Yoshiki drowns alone, and they search for him for a long time, thinking he's dead. After a while, they remember their father and grieve that he left them and they are now alone, but they still have hope he's alive. The only thing that comforts them is finding a lost puppy on the road. The daughter gives it a piece of meat she's holding, but it attracts a pack of hungry dogs ready to eat anything, even humans out of hunger. The dogs attack the three of them, and Mitsu falls from a high slope because of them. Her daughter comes down after her and tries to save her in any way possible. When they reach her, they find out that her legs are broken and she can't move from her place. The dogs take all the food and meat they had with them. Because of extreme hunger, the dogs attack them again and this time try to eat them. The only thing that saves them from death is that an old train suddenly appears and makes a very loud noise. The dogs get scared and run away quickly before the train runs them over. The three of them are shocked when they find the train full of people and learn that these are all the people who escaped from Tokyo and are looking for a safe place to live. A doctor gets off the train and tries to help them to treat her legs and learns what happened to them, that their father died, and he feels very sorry for them. At that moment, Yoshiki wakes up and finds himself in front of the river and realizes he is still alive after all. He saves himself from the crows that were gathered around him and trying to eat him. He decides to continue on his way for the sake of his family even though he has no food or water and his health is at its worst until he gets into an old car and decides to rest there for a while. Suddenly he sees a train approaching him and thinks it's an illusion and tries to ask it for help. When he focuses more and realizes the train is real, he decides to use the flare gun he had, which his son had given him before, to attract the train's attention. Mitsu and her children are shocked when they learn that her husband is still alive, and they quickly run with the people around them to help him. They take him with them onto the train and reunite again after everything that happened to them. Over time, they understand that the goal is not the journey or anything they go through, but that the goal is to always be together, and the thing that makes them stronger is being together. They try to enjoy the journey no matter how tired or exhausted they are, and they laugh and are happy with everything that happens to them for the first time. They learn how to appreciate life and all the blessings that were around them. When day 108 comes, they finally arrive at the village where the grandfather lives. They find him calmly fishing by the sea, and he welcomes them warmly and is happy that they came to see him after all these years. He provides them with everything they needed. After 2 years and 126 days since the disaster, Yoshiki and Kenji become fishermen and spend all their days fishing by the sea. Mitsu and her daughter spend time in the kitchen and take care of everything in the house. They live together a very simple and happy life. Despite all that, fate has something else planned. One day, they wake up to a very strange sound. Yoshiki is shocked when he finds the alarm clock ringing and the clocks working again, and the radio, which had been broken and not working for years, also worked. Even the village bells started ringing. This means that the electrical devices have started working again, all over the world. After things settle down,
The Suzuki family returns to the city and resume their normal life full of civilization and technology everywhere. But this time, they treat each other in a very different way, love each other more than before, and are very close. Despite all that, they still remember all the bad and difficult moments they went through, and their journey, which none of them could ever forget or forget any detail of. And here our movie for today ends. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.